Hello friends, this is Coldrun. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. We are here in Elpis, in front of Venat, who, thanks for your clarifications in the last video in the comments, I now know is best girl, and so is confirmed to be best girl. It sounds like it's just canon, which I respect and I understand. And also thank you to Rack for clarifying that the quest log was a little bit weird in that the journal thing was a little bit weird in that it was saying this quest log made it seem like when we went through the Hope Upon a Flower quest, we were being sent back for some specific knowledge of that that Fandaniel had in the past as Hermes, but it sounds like it was really more just figure out what the deal is with the Elpis flower and why it's supposed to be such a big deal, why it's supposed to be such a clue. So that's really the main goal that we have here. Anyway, minion of the day, we have Bomboko. Is this... I don't remember Bomboko. I know I don't remember if Bomboko is a yokai or not. I don't think so, though. Here we are, Bomboko. Supposedly Far Eastern raccoon dogs, are nothing... Oh, it's a raccoon dog. That's even cuter. Are nothing like the raccoons of Eorzea, shunning a life of rifling through garbage for one of transmogrification into everyday kitchenware such as tea crocks. What? Go figure. That's got to be a reference to like a side quest I just don't remember. Now there's a trick what took some bollocks, Perimu Haramu. There's absolutely some kind of like Stormblood quest I'm just not remembering or that I didn't do. Most likely one I did but didn't remember. Sorry, Venat. Shall we begin our investigations then? I am acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor, received by the chief overseer of Elpis. Of the man himself I know only that which is common knowledge. Thus I suggest we fall back on the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Meteion, and I have a good idea of where we might begin. Right, because last time once we spilled all the secrets of what is to come to pass in their future, which still blows my mind that was a choice they made. Her response is basically, all right, so something is there about Meteion and Hermes, so let's see what we can find out about them. Ooh, side quests. So we will find out what's up with them in a little bit, but not right now, because we want to do some side quests. Well, I want to do some side quests, at least. Meaningful measurements. We'll start with Isle Surveyor. Meaningful measurements. An Isle Surveyor is searching for an assistant. We'll look no further, my friend. Would you assist me, familiar? I would. As I'm sure you're aware, the floating islands of Elpis were created to provide suitable habitats for our various creations. In order to maintain their respective environments, however, surveyors such as myself must make regular assessments of their ethereal composition. To that end, I was planning to take samples from the Melanian habitat with my partner, but it seems he had an urgent engagement. Something about an unscheduled meeting with a member of the Convocation of 14. Maybe, yeah, that might be, well... Huh. I was going to say maybe that's, Venat who's, like... Because right now, because these just cropped up, so this is happening, like, right now, so maybe Venat pulled him aside and just said, well, I'm sort of a member of the 14 in the past. Though I'm now faced with handling this rather grueling task alone, waiting until he returns is simply not an option. As I said, it's important to gather data at regular, specific intervals. That makes sense? And thus I am requesting your help. So, oh, did you see the flip that the fuck? Bomboko just put a little pot on his head and did a flip. That's adorable. What say you? Would you be willing to accompany me in place of my partner? I am, certainly. Though probably not as a sage. I'm still in sage's garb. Many thanks. I'll be sure to reward you for your efforts. Right, let's hurry along then. We need to make our way to the south. I'm surprised it let me take this quest as a sage. I'm only level 78. That's actually legitimately shocking to me. It let me take a quest as a level 78 sage? Really? I was sure that it had a minimum... this is just by accident, but I was sure that these side quests, even though they synced, had at least a minimum level of 70, or of 80, rather. But apparently not. Even so, I'm switching back to Red Mage because I don't want to be level 78 and accidentally pull like an unsynced enemy to me and just die. Isle Surveyor. The rocks in this area contain ores that can tell us about the environmental ether. We'll have to break them apart with destructive magics, because we haven't invented mining picks yet, to collect the necessary samples. You may find that difficult with your inherent limitations, but I have a little something to help with that. Being a Lalafell is not an inherent limitation. That's rude. Here, use this concept crystal to shatter an... Second use of a concept crystal since we got to this island. Use this concept crystal to shatter an outcrop of rock, then bring any ore fragments back to me. Start in the east, if you would. I'll start working elsewhere and we can meet back here. For all that we've heard how overwhelmingly powerful the likes of the Ancients are, it's amazing how many of the things that we can do just as well as them. Even though we are 7 times rejoined, still. Destructive magic concept. This crystal allows even the most ether-poor creatures to cast destructive spells. That's such a cool idea. This is like straight out of Final Fantasy VIII for me, because in Final Fantasy VIII, magic was like an item that you draw and anyone could use. And so it sort of feels like the same thing here. Because purple is... we can't use it, right? Purple is bad, right? I thought it was. Oh, we have to target it, maybe. No, we are targeting it. Maybe we can't target? Or maybe we have to be super far away? What's going on? Maybe we just have to interact with it and we're not supposed to actually use it, but in that case, why is it in the quest log as a thing? What's going on? Let me read this again. Use the destructive magic concept on a Rocky Outcrop. Apparently I can't do that, so the game doesn't want me to do that. Is it because I picked the quest up as a sage? Do I have to do this as a sage? No, that's not it. I don't understand what you want me to do, game. Let me try dropping the... because this feels like it's bugged. Let me try dropping the quest and picking it up again. Take 2. There was a brief window where it was working. Is it just an issue of distance? There. So maybe it's just the center of it has to be on the bottom of the outcrop? That feels not like a bug, just like it needs to be tested a little bit more. I don't know. Okay. In any case, we got it. It wasn't related to... it was just related to... there was a really narrow area where you're allowed to target for that. Or fragment. Alright, what are these? A chunk of ore from Calamelios Zephyros that is particularly useful in measuring environmental ether. Okay. Isle Surveyor, how did you fare? Not well, but I got the job done. Excellent. This should give me all the information I need. Let's head back, shall we? Yeah, let's head back. And you may want to fix your crystals. Or, I don't know, maybe fix is too harsh, but maybe... no, I think fix is right. I think it's fair to... I think it's hard... I think just as a very minor design choice, it's weird to give you... to make it such a small area that you can target, and for it to be specifically one section of the area and not just the whole thing. I don't know, anything that touches it. Isle Surveyor, thank you. Without your aid, I wouldn't have been able to properly observe how the introduction of Melanioi has affected their habitat's ether. It's important to keep careful track of the environments here to make any necessary adjustments. The terrain, the flora, everything that makes up the habitat must be meticulously controlled to fit each subject under observation. Though I applaud my partner's enthusiasm for learning at the foot of a convocation member, we cannot neglect these fundamental, albeit tedious, facets of our work. You're really lecturing a Lalafell, who you referred to as something I won't repeat earlier. Calm Observer. The Calm Observer's colleague has been gone too long. May I ask a favor? A colleague of mine from Thalassai is overdue to make his report, and I need someone to give him a gentle nudge. So maybe this is an oceany observer, because thalassophobia, as I now know from Subnautica, is fear of the ocean. He's currently over at Rumination's Ramble, observing some life forms newly hatched from one of our creations, but I'm afraid I'll skew the data if I show up and startle them. A familiar like you, however, should cause much less of a disruption. Would you be so kind? I would be so kind. I also feel like I'm unintentionally giving the calm NPCs the voice of one of the Moonanites from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Thalassai Observer and Zephyros 72. Zephyros 72, what are you? You're like a little armadillo thing? Russell? Thalassai Observer. A familiar? Can I help you with something? More like, can I help you with something? Oh, time to head back, is it? I was so enraptured watching the young ones frolic that I lost track of time. Come, come, everyone, we really must be going, everyone. Russell. Still want to play, do you? I guess I shall have to appeal to your bellies, then. Would you like to try feeding them? I would like nothing more in this entire planet. They become much more compliant after eating some of these treats, and they're so adorable when they nibble. Alright, what treats do we have? Small feed bag, a bag full of bugs and shellfish for the young Zephyros 72s. Russell? Russell. Enjoy. Thalassai Observer. Isn't it fun watching them romp around? It's so much fun. I love them. Zephyros 72. It's calmed down after eating its kill. After eating its fill. It's calmed down after eating its fill. And they really seem to like you. Do you work with young ones often? No. Interesting that you don't think I'm a young one, though. I guess that is an interesting thing. I'm not mistaken as a child here. I guess because familiars can take so many different forms. These babies are aquatic creatures by nature, but we're modifying them to adapt to life on land. They mostly eat marine insects and shellfish, and some... Yeah, look, it turned into a pot. The Bomboko turned into a pot. It's what a weird minion. And some of the larger carnivores feed off them in turn. They also carry their eggs on their backs until they're ready to hatch. These are the proto... I don't remember their name, but these are the ones that we see in Thavnair, aren't they? The creatures that have the eggs around them. I think that's what they are. Oh, but that's not why you're here, is it? I really must head back. I love that these side quests in this area in particular, that so many of them are just little entries about, little short stories about the earlier forms that some of the monsters in the present day take. Calm Observer. Thank you for fetching my associate. You're quite welcome. Thalassai Observer. I feel like I don't need any money. I got all the reward I needed was getting to feed those little Zephyros 72s. Thalassai Observer. If you hadn't been sent to fetch me, I might have been out there for days. In any case, it's only a matter of time before our creations are approved for release into the wild. I wonder what name they'll receive. And we know the name, even though I forgot it at the moment. Or at least we know the name that the Thavnairians call them. Calm Observer. Thank you for all your help today. Here, as thanks. Let's do... We got 3 more. Potent... oh, no. Again, that's potent... To name a tale. Troubled taxonomist. A troubled taxonomist is having second thoughts. What are you going to name your creatures? Ah, perfect timing. I have a favor to ask. It's my job to name the creations brought to us, but I can't seem to decide on one for this particular concept. It may be because I'm the one who designed it. It's a species of plant which I intended as a gift for my love, a clear conflict of interest, unfortunately. My names are always fair and logical and perfectly suited to the creation, but this time, I'm not so sure. I do have a name for it, but what if it's not suitable or too personal? I thought of discussing the matter with my associates, but my dilemma is kind of embarrassing. Would you ask if they think the name is appropriate in my stead? Don't worry, I wouldn't expect you to work without recompense. Yeah, even these fairly collectivist folks don't, this is not like a capitalist society. And even so, they're like, no, you're not working for exposure. Like, that's not what we do here. This is the creation, a yellow pansy, and the name I have in mind is Mythos. It's a good name. It's an epic name. I don't know if it'll be appropriate to the flower, but I like it. It's a good start. It's not like you just named it like the Jim flower after your beloved named Jim. Oh, no, wrong person, sorry. Well, we're progressing on this quest, I guess. Sorry about that. See you, the woman standing in front of yonder building. Her name is Ismene. She's the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I recall, she has held her position here for quite some time. Chances are she can provide us with some insights. Go ask your questions. I will help with drawing out answers if need be, but I leave the choice of topic up to you. We will continue that in a bit. Sorry, I just went for out of habit, I went for the first quest marker I saw. We'll return to the main story quest in a little bit. Lampedo. Look at that beautiful pony. Lampedo. Yes, what is it? Yellow pansy concept. A new type of flower with large yellow petals. Yeah, Mythos may be a bit too epic. My, what a pretty flower. And you said it was called Mythos. A fine name. Many flowers are named with a special feeling in mind, so going by what you've told me, this one's in good company. The feeling... Again, you don't think the feeling is too epic for, like, a little pansy? Glaphora. A familiar, do you need something? Yes. Look at my pansy. A flower, it's beautiful, and it smells lovely. Is it for me? Oh, this is awkward. Yeah, nope. Oh, you just want to know if the name is suitable, do you? Have you tried asking at Thesis Hyperborea? No one knows as much about naming as them. Here's a guidebook on the subject. Take it with you and let your master decide what to do from there. Thesis Hyperborea. I'm assuming the K is silent, but I don't know. This tome contains all sorts of fascinating information about Thesis Hyperborea's naming protocols. My fear is that this guy is... I mean, he is a naming convention. Why do you have to... Ooh, fate. Let me turn this in real quick. It's not that he is a naming convention, but like I think he's probably like the person who literally wrote the book. I'll bet he actually wrote the book on Thesis Hyperborea. Trouble taxonomist. How did it go? What did everyone think of the name? They thought it was okay, but they referred you to outside counsel. I see. Well, that's good to know. I won't be needing the guidebook, of course, as I can't very well ask myself for my thoughts. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, but one person said it was good, and that's a good sample size. Or perhaps I should. It wouldn't hurt to have some confidence in the work I do, after all. Yes, but at the same time, if conflict of interest is a problem in your line of work, then yeah, you'd want to disregard that for now. As I created this flower, I thought of my beloved, an artist, and the stories she seeks to tell through her plays. My hope is that much like a myth or legend, her work is told and retold down through the ages. Hence mythos. Yeah, that may be a bit, I think it's a bit much. I've decided I'll keep the name and submit it to the Bureau of the Architect. Thank you for your help. Kokushu stays silent as she judges him. Your name is bad. Let's go to, why did it have to be a Medusae? It's not a bad name, it just, again, it feels like it's disproportionately intense. Lush Medusa. This is what you call Medusae? Really? Okay. These are like little... I don't remember what they're called in our world, but they're like the... Not quite morbals, but sort of baby morbals. In some far-flung corner of Elpis, Medusae have proliferated to a degree far beyond anyone's estimations. Now this den of vipers descends upon the land and must be dealt with. I feel like Hermes would really disapprove of the work that we're doing here. Because half of his main story questline is like, every life is sacred. Everything that we birth, everything that we create has to be created with such balance, such an eye towards the long term, and with such respect for them as life forms, that we mustn't disregard even the smallest life form, or make it suffer, at least. And here I am like, there's too many snakes, time to murder them. So, I don't know if he'd approve. Combat Concept Observer. Small size advantage. Oh, you're going to love me. The Combat Concept Observer has a test to run. So, and his reward will be Elpis Daipnon. This hearty dish takes ground bird of Elpis meat and sears it to tender, juicy perfection. I don't know why. I'm surprised that you eat meat. It feels like... If I would have expected them to be vegetarians. Combat Concept Observer. You're a familiar, aren't you? Have you any prowess in battle? I do. Quite a lot. Good. I could use your help with something. You see, I was asked to assess a one-eyed giant created as a facility guard, or Cyclops, and so pit it against a lotus to test its fighting skills. Not only did the giant fall to a single blow, but the lotus went into a frenzy and escaped. In my opinion, compact... You're calling me compact. You know what? I like it. It's respectful. Better than, I don't know, altitudinally challenged or whatever else. Compact familiars like you are far more effective than these overly large brutes, and this is my chance to prove it. Do you think you can handle our runaway combatant? Yes. As long as there's something in it for me. No. We're here to prove the power of Lalafels. Of course you'll be well rewarded for your efforts. Our experiment was conducted to the east, so that's as good a place as any to start looking for the lotus. Combat Concept Observer. This is the Cyclops that was felled. There it is. It would seem the escaped lotus came back of its own accord. They usually feed off their foes to revitalize themselves, and I imagine it hungers after running amok like that. I'll take care of this situation here. The lotus is all yours. Where's the lotus? Oh, it's over there. That is a cool monster. It's like a plant chimera. I like it. Stray lotus. Gotcha. You made quick work of that lotus. I had a feeling I could count on you. Look at this dependable face. As for the giant, it's far too heavy for us to move. I'll arrange for some broad-backed creations to haul it away after we return to Poietem Oikos. What does Oikos mean? I know it's the... I mention it specifically because it's a... I think it's the name of like a yogurt brand also, of a Greek yogurt brand in the US, at least, and so I'm curious if it means like well-being or health or something. Alright, Combat Concept Observer. As I suspected, a smaller, more agile, more attractive concept has far more facility for adapting to combat situations. Thank you for proving my theory. I'll be sure to keep your performance in mind the next time I design a familiar. Your reward as promised. Thank you. Molothils are great. Let's do the last of these quests in the area. What's in a name? Ooh, you're surrounded by little elementally dudes. These look like not just regular elementals. They look like some of the things from Final Fantasy XI from, was it Chains of Promathia? From that zone. Oh, I don't remember what the expansion was, but there was a particular zone with that really ridiculously hard, with all these alien and watery alien creatures in it, that had that infamously long boss fight. Absolute Virtue. I don't remember the name of the zone, but these looks like some of the creatures from that. Meleagros. What's in a name? No purple dyes. Purple dyes I give to my friend Rack, but no purple dyes because Meleagros is a bad person. You're a familiar, aren't you? Perfect timing. A pair of researchers are scheduled to arrive from Amarot, and I need you to collect their concept from them. We've completed assessments for their creations, you see, and must make preparations to officially register the designs with the Bureau of the Architect. Please make sure to also ask for any provisional names they might have for their works. Okay. Academia... Oh, one of you. I think I remember first seeing you in Stormblood in that first zone near Castramorians, but I could be wrong. Can I help you? Oh, of course, you wish to collect my concept, you say. It's this creature I have with me. It doesn't have a proper name as such. From what I hear, the observers have been calling it Noto 642, a nod to the island it resided on. Right, well, I'll trust you to put this into Meleagros' hands. You don't have an idea for a name? I guess not. One more thing. Is this an armadillo too? I see armadillos everywhere. This is like a rock armadillo. Or maybe it's just something altogether different. This is a weird one. Academia researcher. And who might you be? Ah, you're here for my concept. Well, here it is in the flesh. It doesn't seem to have flesh. I call it the stone mole. Oh, okay. It secretes a fluid that eats through solid rock, giving it the ability to burrow into even the hardest terrain. It can also toughen its skin by ingesting the rock it has liquefied. Based upon those traits, I humbly request that it be given a good, strong name. I'll call it Petunia. Meleagros. You've brought the concepts I asked for. I did. Approved concept. This creation concept has been certified for release into the wider world. Both of them. Very good. And did you ask for the provisional names? Yeah, one was good and one was absent. The Stone Mole, I guess. That's a pretty good one. The Stone Mole and Noto 642. And the mole's creator requested that it have a powerful sounding name. Some researchers do become quite attached to their creations, don't they? Hey, you asked for them to give you a name suggestion. What do you want? It may seem inconsequential, but the appropriate naming of concepts is of the utmost importance. Allow me to explain. Go for it. Once it has been determined that a creation is beneficial to the star, we can proceed with registering the creator's design with the Bureau of the Architect. That wasn't the DMV from Shadowbringers, was it? I think that was just a different bureau. First, however, the approved concepts must receive their official names, and as a taxonomist, it's my task to bestow them. When naming, one must strive for elegance and simplicity, all the while taking care to adhere to existing conventions and avoid repetition. Seems like reasonable criteria. The more creations we name, the more difficult it becomes to maintain this high standard. It's a demanding job, to be certain, but one which I'm proud to do. For as long as this purpose guides me, I will fill this world with the most marvelous appellations I can imagine. That sounds like a wonderful job. Please take this in exchange for completing your errand. You're not even going to tell me what names you're thinking about? Leaving me hanging. Okay. We'll go with pumpkin orange dye. Orange is my favorite color, personally. Alright, before we talk to Ismene, let's check in with Venat. Let us speak with Ismene. You know more of this coming calamity, so I think it best you lead the conversation. I'm just a familiar, but I will try. Ismene. Questions? For me? Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties at the moment. The following event cannot be skipped. Okay. Yeah, let's try this. And here Superstar Venat comes up. Greetings, Ismene. My friend here is desperately curious about Chief Hermes, and I was wondering if you might indulge her. Ismene. Certainly, Mistress Venat. Anything to be of service. What do you wish to know? What kind of a person is Hermes? What are Hermes' interests? Let's go with what are Hermes' interests. This is probably more likely to get a specific response. His interests? Well, he's an authority on flying forms and has an expansive knowledge on living creatures in general. Is that what you wish to know? Venat, how would you describe him as a person, as a colleague? Ismene, he's a quiet man, reserved you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. I'm surprised by that. He does seem passionate, but he doesn't seem like he'd be rude. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as Chief Overseer. I hope that answers your question. Was there anything else? How long has Meteion been here? I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer here, like a good or bad outcome, but both of these are useful. Well, because do you know of Meteion's abilities? I don't care as much about that because I know the answer already. How long has Meteion been here? Maybe this will address like how often he sends his creations out to cross the void. How long has Meteion been here? I cannot rightly say. As the chief's personal creation, Meteion has not been subjected to observation and study like other concepts. But nah, so one day she was simply there. And what do you make of her abilities? Ismene, I understand that she is a highly unusual familiar, able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind, though exactly how she was created with this talent is a mystery to me. My apologies, I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you wish you knew him better? That's more about her than him. Do you trust him? This is... I don't know how she's going to say anything other than yes here. I mean, he's her boss. I beg your pardon. I've known Chief Hermes for many years, though I cannot say we're close. He has never withheld information to the detriment of our duties, if that's what you mean. Venat, forgive us. We seem to have veered slightly off course here. Oh, screw off. I asked an okay question. Is there perhaps someone else who could tell us more about Meteion? Ismene, maybe that was just the answer no matter what. She's not saying you asked a bad question. That would be Timaeus. He has a similar expertise with flying concepts and is more than eager to discuss the subject. You'll find him conducting his observations on the bank of the stream, somewhere to the east. And, unless you take a particular joy in rambling discourse, I do. I suggest you keep your questions concise. Venat, we shall keep that in mind. I'll give my familiar a good swat on the head after this conversation. Thank you for your patience and insight. Ismene, think nothing of it. Think nothing of it. If there's anything else you need during your stay, please do not hesitate to ask, as long as it's you and not your familiar. Venat. Come, Kukushu. I think you've wasted enough of Ismene's time. Alright, next up, let me talk to you again. Really give you your worst nightmare. You're familiar, yes? Belonging to Mistress Venat? I mean, I wouldn't mind being Mistress Venat's. You couldn't have been blessed with a finer master. Okay, Venat. Our investigation is off to a fine start, no thanks to you. Wouldn't you agree? From here, I propose that we split up. I shall continue making inquiries with the resident observers. If you could track down the colleague Ismene mentioned. Although I felt compelled to take the reins of that previous conversation, your, fearless style of interrogation will eventually lead you to the answers you seek. Thank you. Hey, you know what? You gave me... I'm blaming you for this, even though, you know, you're not the current Azem. I'm blaming you. All I ask is that you watch your footing around the stream. We can meet back here once you've finished speaking with the Timaeus. With this Timaeus. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know how I was supposed to keep it concise, like when one of the options that was apparently the bad option was like, what are Meteion's abilities? Like, we already know what that is, so I figured I might as well ask something new. Let's see, Timaeus. We'll try to stay concise, though. Yes, I'm Timaeus, but keep your voice down. You'll startle the birds. Okay. So what is it you wish to speak about? What do you think of Chief Hermes' flying creations? Chief Hermes' work? A worthy subject indeed. Those beings which soar through the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favorite of creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated. What sets the Chief's creations apart, oh, here we go, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high they disappear from view, others which traverse the boundless sky in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know of none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we who prize elegance of form above all else are dumbfounded by his genius. Why not mimic his process? Again, that question is focusing on Timaeus when I'm really interested in Meteion. So let's go with Meteion 2 as a marvel then. My opinion on that matter would be superficial at best. Despite my admiration for Meteion as a concept, I have never delved too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise her abilities are a mystery to me. If Chief Hermes should choose to submit Meteion's concept to the Bureau of the Architect, then will the design be registered for public scrutiny. Analyzing a colleague's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. That makes sense. They're not ready for it, and they're not proposing it, so yeah, you want to respect that. Of course, if he came to me, a fellow artisan looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. I could tell you more of Meteion's nature if you like. No, this is about getting information, not lecturing him. Or her. Again, or them. I'm just terrible at telling what the presented gender is supposed to be. Do you know of Dynamis and Entelechyes? Dynamis and Entelechyes? Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there not a flower made here in Elpis which exhibited properties of one or the other? Yes. It must have been centuries since I last heard anyone speak of such things. Has there been a resurgence of interest? No. Then why bring up the subject? I'm flattered you sought my insight, but I can't afford to neglect my duties for the sake of idle chatter. Oh, really? Now I really must return to my observations. Surely you have your own task to attend to. Did I fuck it up? I guess not. I mean, both questions sounded like idle chatter, so maybe that was just the end of the conversation. But I'm curious. Let me know if there was, like, a right or wrong answer there. I mean, not a right or wrong answer that would, like, complete or not complete the quest, but one that would get you a better outcome or more dialogue or something. Venat. Back already. That was quick work. You were obviously clever enough to head off any of that rambling Ismene mentioned. So have you any new findings to share? I really didn't think I was rambling. I see. Even an expert in the field has had little understanding of Meteion's capabilities, let alone an awareness of Dynamis. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Meteion as his personal project and could provide no details beyond those which you just told me. Which leads me to believe that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we've made some progress here, but more information is needed if we were to reach any definitive conclusions. Definitive conclusions, which we will seek next time. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all later. Okay, bye-bye.